Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unraveling the Knots, the podcast where we dive deep into everything rich in natural hair. I'm your host, Ganiat Salami, a beautypreneur and a passionate solution provider for all things Afro-textured natural hair. So welcome if you're new, and thank you for listening. Please consider sharing and subscribing to the podcast. Let your people tap into the vibes here. And for my returning listeners, I really appreciate you guys. You already know how we do it here. Honest conversations, real hair journeys, and the occasional gist about life in between. Today's episode is extra special. Trust. Because I've got one of my team members here with me. You already know her from the last episode, and this time she came with another set of questions for me. So, Madam, go ahead, reintroduce yourself, and tell us what we're going to be doing today.
Hi everyone, it feels so good to be back again. My name is Gift, and this will be, I think, the second time I'm here. And like I said, it feels so good to be back here again. And yeah, for today's episode, yes, this one is for the relaxed hair girls. If you've been thinking about going natural, but a little, kind of unsure of how to start, worry no further, because this episode is going to help you. One of our team members who recently is thinking about going from relaxed to natural hair wrote out a list of honest questions that she has been wanting to ask. And believe me, honestly, every relaxed girl out there thinking of transitioning will definitely learn from this episode.
Okay. Nice. I'm loving it, and let's do this. So, Gift, hit me with the first question. Let's start unraveling these questions.
Yes. Okay, but just before we get into our question, I want us to start with something that I think a lot of people ask. Why do some people say transitioning is harder than just doing a big shop? Is it really that hard to grow out your relaxed hair without cutting it off at once? Do you think it's better to just transition, or it's simpler to do a big chop?
I can't really speak to other people's experiences, but come to think of it, I didn't do a big chop. I actually transitioned from relaxed hair to natural hair. And I'll be very honest, transitioning for me felt really difficult. I wasn't very knowledgeable about how to take care of my hair. So that was the big problem for me. And when I think about just the composition of hair, so our natural hair, at least if you are a type 4C guy or girl, our natural hair is very coiled. It's tightly coiled. And if you are used to managing or dealing with your hair in that state, then there's already expectations or some sense of how to cope with it. But imagine if you've already relaxed your hair, and to comb, you just put the comb and it just glides through. It's easy. But you now have the problem of transitioning, whereby a part of your hair is straight, the older ends, and then the bottom is now tightly coiled. It's almost speaking recipe for disaster if you don't know how to care for it. So having to deal with two textures on the same hair strand is complicated, especially thinking about the fact that when you're dealing with straighter hair, it has a different set of needs. When you're dealing with hair that is tightly coiled, you have to manage it a different way. So I believe that's why people find it difficult to transition when it comes to natural hair versus doing a big chop. I'll be honest. I think it depends, right? If you are well informed on how to transition from your relaxed hair to natural hair, it could be easy. I don't think it's something that's honestly difficult to change, right? To embrace that change. But when I think of someone like my sister, so for my sister, it was easier because when she was basically dealing with her natural hair, all the relaxed portion was chopped off. She was only dealing with one texture. So I think it depends, honestly. For me, the reason why I wasn't comfortable doing a big chop was because I'm not a fan of seeing my hair chopped. I'm not a fan of seeing my hair like in a really, really low cut. So I need to see some length. I need to see some length. So I think it depends. Transitioning can be easy. You just need to have the knowledge to support you through that process. At the same time, I feel like a big chop is probably easier. To be completely honest, that's what I would say. But I was even going to ask you, Gift. I don't really know your natural hair story. Did you transition or did you go for the big chop? Or did you actually ever relax your hair? I don't even know if you relaxed your hair to start with.
Okay, so I kind of had relaxed hair when I was like in my primary school days because I remember having to like do a packing gel as a little bridesmaid. So I had a relaxed hair experience, but I had this crazy hair story where the hairdressers were kind of very strict. The hairdressers in my area where it was not a bad like it wasn't a good experience you want to like have every time you have to go make your hair. So I cried out one day and I told my mom I wanted to cut my hair. So I spent most of my growing up on like low cuts. So I just love low cuts. I stayed on low cut. It was growing up that I think somewhere around after school, yes, I'm like, okay, no, I need to start embracing my hair and start taking care of my hair. And that's how I I started doing natural. So I would say maybe big chop. I don't know. I think that should be a big job. But it was for a long period of time. I was on low cut and I just stopped cutting my hair and I started my hair journey. Yeah.
Okay, so by school, are you saying university or high school? When did you start growing
Yeah.
your
I
hair?
think it was high school.
Okay.
It was high school because I also I went to a boarding house where we had to keep low cuts.
Mhm.
So making of hair was not allowed. Yeah. So I was in this all girls school and at the time I actually transitioned to a private school and that was not a problem because I think most of that low cut rules are always like in the public school settings. So
Yeah.
when I went to a private school, it wasn't a problem, but I already found comfort with my low cut. So getting into university, I started making my hair. Yeah. And I attempted the like low cut thing again. I think when I was about to leave school, final year was crazy and I didn't think natural hair was one of the things I wanted to do. So I had my hair chopped off and it was after my NYSC, I actually started keeping my virgin hair. That was like 2 years ago. And I started keeping my virgin hair and I started maintaining it. And it's been good.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had more of this low cut experience here.
Oh, by the way, we have to
Yes. So
inform
yeah.
our listeners because, yes, some people are based in Nigeria, but some people are in the overseas. So, NYSC.
Yeah,
NYSC is Nigerian Youth Corps Service. You do that after you graduate from university. It's 1 year, right? Yeah, it's one.
yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a way for you to serve the country. They
Yeah.
deploy you to
Yeah.
different states usually. And you are, I believe, like they assign you to a school or like a
Okay.
organization. It could be like a private public sector organization. But yeah, you're assigned somewhere to basically work and they give you really crappy salary, by the way. That's all I remember about it.
Actually, That's not a lie. That's not a lie, actually.
Right? Yeah, but it's so
Okay,
so
that's not.
yeah. So basically it seems like in terms of transitioning, right? I did the transition. Like I went from my relaxed hair and I was growing out natural hair. And eventually I started snipping the relaxed portion as the natural hair was
Mm.
growing longer. But on the other hand, Gift was she was a big timer in the big chalk world. So kudos to you.
So that was really nice, like hearing your story and also like understanding about transition. Yeah, I didn't have the experience, and just hearing that's really cool. So yeah, I think this is the time where we actually dive into the questions that our team member gave us. And I'm just going to like read some of the questions the way she said it. So firstly, according to our team member, she tried transitioning one time and her hair was really hard and very difficult to maintain. And she kind of consulted many people and they told her things to do, ingredients to try, even products to buy. And that was supposed to, help her soften her hair, but apparently it didn't. And of course, she could not cope with it. Now, here's the question that she asked. What hair tip will you give her that would help her soften her hair as she attempts a second transition?
Ah, man. I don't know if I would say it's like a hair tip. Um, when it comes to softening hair, I think in terms of trying to work with your natural hair, there's so many factors that are coming to mind. And I'm glad that she did flag. People told her to try ingredients, and unfortunately, they didn't work. So, when it comes to transitioning, I feel it's important to think about rather than focusing on softness, I think it's important to focus on how to manipulate your hair, right? In a way that makes it easier for you to embrace your natural hair. So,
Mm.
what's coming to my mind is actually three main things to factor, or should I say four? Let me say three and then I will see if there's a fourth one that comes. The first thing that comes to mind is product or ingredients. I can't stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. Like when it comes to hair, moisture is everything. Moisture,
Mm-hmm.
moisture, 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 moisture. I'm repeating it because I feel like we forget when people are talking about ingredients to help you with natural hair, people keep saying, oh, consider coconut oil. What? Coconut oil is oil. It doesn't put your hair in a situation that makes it easier to manipulate, except you have hydration first, right? Like water, right? Water is
Yeah.
what you use to help your hair feel moisturized. So, moisture is the first thing to think about. No oil can give your hair moisture. It is water that gives your hair moisture. Then you can use oils or butters to help lock in moisture and make your hair easier to manage. That being said, another thing that comes to mind is using products or ingredients with loads of slip.
Mm.
Our hair, the way it is designed, right? You have your hair growing from your scalp. Your natural hair is tightly coiled. Normally, if you had straighter hair, you are at an advantage because we do have natural oils that are coming from our scalp, right? These oils are called sebum. They can help coat your hair and protect it, right? In that regard. But when your hair is tightly coiled, it's like mission impossible for the sebum to actually travel down your hair. It normally stops like very close to your scalp because it's almost impossible for it to go down, right? So we don't have that luxury. As a result, it's important that you expose your hair to moisture, to use ingredients with slip. And what's coming to my mind when it comes to slip, if you have like aloe vera gel, even the real like aloe vera, oh my God, cut it out from the leaf, get the gel, blend it, use the sieve to drain it. Put that thing on your hair. My goodness. your hair would just feel like it's easy to it will feel amazing. You understand? Put that thing on your hair. It really, really helps in terms of making your hair easier to manipulate. So that's something to consider. Ingredients with sleep. I mentioned aloe vera, but there's so many other sleep agents, right? When it comes to products or ingredients. Another thing that I would say is very big, avoid products or ingredients that are super drying. So if you're looking to transition, please stay away from bleaching or coloring your hair. This is not the time. I made that mistake and my hair honestly felt like it was just disintegrating right in front of my eyes. That was the worst hair mistake I ever made. So please stay away from that.
Oh God.
It's true. Another thing to stay away from is sulfate shampoos, right? Don't get me wrong. When you need to do like a deep cleanse, and when I talk about sulfate shampoos, right, I always put that disclaimer. When you need to do like serious cleansing, when you need to, especially if it seems like you use a lot of products that are like heavy when it comes to forming buildup and whatnot, then yes, you can consider doing a deep cleanse with a sulfate shampoo. If you can even use like clays, right? They're very helpful in that regard. But if you're transitioning and you're not somebody that's heavy-handed with ingredients that just, it seems like they're basically just blocking the air from your hair, then stay away from products that have sulfates in them. So that's the first thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to tips. That's just tips focusing on products. Now let's move on to technique, right? So speaking of technique, what's very helpful is, for example, you're that kind of person that detangles your hair, right? Please detangle your hair while it is wet. Detangle your hair when you have something that gives your hair slip. Otherwise, your hair will basically damage. It would experience way more damage than it needs to. Another important point is deep condition your hair regularly. You see, hair that's transitioning, there is a point where I would just quote unquote say like a demarcation line between the straight ends, right, and the coiler roots. That point is very fragile because of that shift, shift coming from tightly coiled and then straight. So you need to support your hair with as much moisture as possible. And what is a great way to have your hair moisturized? Deep conditioning. Don't skip on those. Another great tip is protective styling. Do them as much as possible, preferably low manipulation styles. If you are transitioning, my next point from a technique perspective is to reduce the amount of heat that you expose your hair to. I'm not even going to try to shalaye that. Shalaye means explain. But you get the gist. Reducing heat actually helps protect your hair from the damage that does come with heat. Importantly, and this is the final point when it comes to technique, trim your hair as needed. Even when you have relaxed hair, it's still going to have split ends. So it's important that you trim your hair. You continue those habits that are crucial for protecting your hair. The good thing about trimming your hair is that if you have split ends or very weak hair that could essentially start to break or open up towards your roots, it's great to try to get rid of them so that you can at least still give that strand of hair the chance to flourish. So we're done with the technique piece when it comes to tips. The next thing that's coming to my mind for tips is the third bucket, which is tools. So when you are transitioning, it's pretty tricky. Most people are used to using like a very fine tooth comb, right? With very, very small splits, because if your hair is straight, you don't really need a wide tooth comb. But guess what? When you're transitioning, you have to deal with roots that are very coily. So you have to use the appropriate kind of comb. Use a white tooth comb. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a tug of war trying to take care of your hair. And another great thing that helps, if you're trying to go through the process of washing or conditioning your hair, think about it. Straighter hair, it's easy to just, section and, put them together in a way that it feels convenient. Maybe you're not used to that anymore.
Yeah.
Dealing with two different textures, with your roots being coilier. So guess what? Use clips. Portion your hair in a way that's easy to manage, where it doesn't feel overwhelming. That actually reduces the stress that comes with trying to manipulate your hair. So those are the main tips, right? We talked about products, we talked about technique, we talked about tools. I think another thing that's so important to highlight and emphasize is that mindset of just being gentle with your hair. Please be gentle.
That was, I don't know, this is some juicy tip, honestly speaking. I'm not transitioning, but all these tip techniques and tools you actually mentioned, I think I need to start like imbibing them into my routine. The part where you talked about, just get the aloe vera gel, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, that's true. Or when you talked about moisture, I'm like, actually. So this is very profound, honestly. And if you're listening and you're thinking about transitioning to hair, natural hair, and you don't even have your note and pen, this is the time where you need to go and get your note and pen and start taking tips, because they will help your hair journey. They would help your hair journey. You don't want to snooze on these tips, honestly. So here is another question she asked. She said, how do you cope with your natural hair? Because she believes natural hair is very difficult to cope with. As she said, like, how do you cope with your natural hair? Can you help her ease this mindset of ours? Like, her believing the natural hair is very difficult to cope with, because I don't know, mine is not difficult to cope with.
So, I'm very glad that we are at a time whereby, imagine Gibbs even saying it, that our hair is not difficult to cope with. For me,
Yeah.
I think 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't a normal statement you would hear from most people or from a good amount of people. And as much as we have people embracing their natural hair these days, I feel like it's still the norm, especially for me. Like when I visited Nigeria, a lot of people that I know don't keep natural hair because they still have that perspective that natural hair is very, very difficult to care for. And honestly, that's the case. I think when we think about natural hair, and I believe I probably flagged this or mentioned it earlier, our natural hair is dry. That's just the fact. It is dry. And this dryness is due to the design, which if you are not familiar or if you don't understand that, it's very difficult for you to know how to approach your hair. So I already talked about the structure of our hair, the way it is coiled, which makes it impossible, right, for you to get that protection from your scalp, which is sebum, right? And I think this is a good time to talk about relaxed hair and its structure. So before your hair goes through relaxer, of course, it's natural, like it's coily. But what relaxer does is that it breaks the sulfide bonds in your hair and causes it to flatten, which is why your hair becomes straight. So when you're thinking about your natural hair, one thing that would mainly help you to change your mindset about it being very difficult is to support your hair, especially when you think about the dryness. Prevent it from being dry as much as possible and just watch it flourish. Another key thing that I wanted to mention is that, contrary to popular belief, a lot of us see natural hair And what comes to mind is that it's very strong, right? It's very strong. But you see, the problem is that when you don't have your hair being coated by the natural oils or it's very dry, it actually becomes really, really prone to breakage. So our hair is fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Our hair is fragile. So how do you take care of your hair in that regard? Try to manipulate it in a way that is gentle. Avoid having to touch your hair too much. Just embrace styles that are low manipulation and you will see your hair flourish. If the idea of doing too much to your hair overwhelms you and you feel like, okay, like the hair is already difficult, I don't want to have to do too much. I don't want to have to spend so much time trying to get it done. Do low manipulation styles. Your hair will be fine. Another key and final point that I also wanted to talk about, and I flagged this before, but I will say it again because it seems like there's a disconnect when it comes to this process. When I'm picturing somebody with natural hair who is having a difficult time with their hair, what comes to mind to me is usually a picture of someone who's trying to detangle dry hair. Please stop.
Actually.
Detangling dry hair. This is the worst thing we do to ourselves. And when I heard this question, that was the thing that came to my mind. Like, my hair is so difficult. How can I cope? Guess what? You're just combing hair. You just see somebody struggling, trying to push through. Yeah. So much resistance. It's like, haba, it's not one now, it's your hair. So, how do you help your hair in that regard? As I stated before, detangle your hair gently and always make sure you don't detangle dry hair. Use moisture, use slip, and your hair would be in a much better state. That sense of difficulty that you're always having, just watch it disappear gradually.
Well, honestly speaking, when I was hearing you talk about the picture of when you think about someone that finds it difficult coping with their hair, one picture that comes to your mind is a woman detangling her hair, like someone detangling their dry hair. And it sent me back to a lot of like memories because I'm like, that's true. That's true. Growing up, we just had one hair care routine. That was enter the shower and shampoo your hair and come outside. There was nothing extra. And after that, we have like a lot of old hair creams like Damatol, those hot menthol hair creams, and we applied on our hair and we just comb it. It was a lot of struggle, you're just struggling to comb your hair. And I think that's why a lot of people wanted to like relax their hair.
Yeah.
But now things gotten like much more better. And even back when I was on low cut, I would sometimes leave my hair to like some certain height. Mm-hmm. And I was like, once every time we go into the bathroom, when you're on low cut, you can easily just pour water on your hair. But during the afternoon, like when the sun is up and the water is out, because we don't even know you have to seal that thing in. And we'll have like our afro combs and we'll be struggling to comb our hair. Like we'll be struggling. And then you'll be having this mindset like, oh, I can't do this again, or I need to go, I need to visit the salon to buy my hair. So that really just sent me back to a lot of memories. And looking at now, I don't think I struggle with that. Like I use like either products, and once I get into the shower, wash my hair, and I'm like the detangling and I'm out, it's just very easy. Like once I seal in with the leave-in and maybe 2 days later, because most times I put my hair in like a very interesting, funny, protective style. It's always very funny.
What do you mean by funny? What do you mean by funny?
It's like putting my hair like 4 braids and it's just sticking out.
But that's what? It's no manipulation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's low manipulation. For me, I think I see that as a low manipulation before I give my hair like a proper low manipulation style. Then maybe one day later, I take it down and I do like all back or twist or braids. And the thing is, it's not an hassle to like control my hair. It's beautiful. It's nice, interesting. I visited the salon and the hairdresser told me my hair was healthy. Like, how am I combing your hair? And I'm not, it's not breaking. And I'm just smiling.
Let me clap for you. Let me clap for you. Let me clap for you. Hairdresser even gave you feedback. Can you imagine? Keep it up. Keep it up.
It was just like, she was like, "Are you so healthy?" And I'm like, "Thank you." I was just smiling because she was asking me like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And funny enough, I took my products to the salon. So she was like, "Okay, this is nice and all." But what the whole like essence of this story is that it's easier for us to like, once you're enlightened, it's easier for you to control your hair. And when you were talking about low
But
manipulation,
that word control, we need to check our vocab. We don't control our hair, we care for it.
thanks for calling my attention to that.
No, it's okay. I think this is what we're talking about. The question is about like, how do we ease our mindset? And I think part of it has to do with the word choices when it comes to our hair. And I believe I did say manage. Even that manage gone, it makes me feel unkind. I'd rather say care. Like I'm also trying to be more deliberate because when it comes to our hair, and this was what I was even trying to say earlier, it completely skipped my mind. I was very happy about the fact that you said, like, I don't believe this about my hair. I feel like my hair is something I can care for. It's approachable. It's this, it's that. And for the longest time, I grew up feeling like my hair was just not it. I grew up feeling like my hair was like, oh my God, this hustle that I have to go and deal with, So part of it is what you see in the media. Part of it is the word choices that we select when we think about hair. So we really, really need to be careful when we're talking about our hair because it's the words that you subconsciously, right, narrate that actually influences or depicts what you really think about your hair. So I'm not a team of I do say manage, but I'm trying to actually run away from that. You know?
Yeah, actually that's so profound truth. The words we tell our hair, the words we think about, it kind of comes out of our mouth when we like, it's very important. So yeah, when I heard you also talking about the protective style, I think this is where the second question is going to come in. And you were like, if you said something about put your hair on a low money protective style, you will still look nice. And I'm like, that's something that girls or people in this generation are still struggling to accept, that I will look beautiful in low manipulative style. Throughout this year, I already braids once, like I attach braid on my ears just once, like throughout this whole year. I spent my whole year like on low protective style, and I was looking very beautiful, like so beautiful. I'll give credit to my beauty. So I think this is the thing that our team member is actually struggling with also, because we're talking about right mindset also. We're talking about right mindset, and I think it still flows into this question. She was like, keeping natural hair comes with like some hairstyles you can do, and some hairstyle that you can do, and she believes that our hair tend to get rough quickly when we kind of just maintain our natural hairstyle. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I honestly don't believe that's true. But how do we, firstly, is it even true? Because I feel like I'm answering the question. What do you think? Is it true that when you have natural hair, like there are some hairstyles you can do and your hair tend to get rough quickly? And secondly, if it's true, how do you cope with that reality of knowing that there are some hairstyles that you can't do with your hair? Because that's what she was so bothered about. Like, how do you cope with that reality that, with my natural hair, there are some hairstyles I can't do, there are some hairstyles I can't do? And I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't bother about hairstyles that I can't do or hairstyle I can do. I'm more concerned about my hair thriving. So I'll leave that to you to answer.
Okay. So I guess I would say her comments are partly true, right? I have to say. And it depends on two factors. So first being length and the other being dryness. when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to certain styles, if your hair is not long enough in a natural state, it's very difficult for you to do a bun. Let's be honest, right? It's hard for you to
Exactly.
do a slick bun. So she's right. And when your hair is really dry and you don't have moisture or the relevant type of products to manipulate it, it's hard to make your hair flexible and let it do what you need it.
Yeah.
So she
Mm.
raises a good point. There are hairstyles you can do with your natural hair, but if you have relaxed hair, you can't do those hairstyles. So you can't have it
Mm-hmm.
all. I feel like it's really
Sure.
important to decide what matters to you. Is having your natural hair important to you? If it is, trust me, you will find styles that you can make work. One of the styles that's coming to my mind is when you think about an afro. If you have relaxed hair, you can't.
Yeah.
It just it cannot stand. It cannot stand.
I thought.
You can't stand and do an afro. That's just the reality. If you have relaxed hair, you can't do wash and goes, right? If you have
Mm-hmm.
relaxed hair, you can do a twist out that has the bounce. You see what I'm saying? You can do a twist out, but it would just feel very, very fluffy, very light. But you can do like a twist out with bounce. So you have to pick what matters to you. The other thing that I would even say is this is the versatility of having natural hair with certain styles. If, for example, you want to do a slick bun and your hair is natural, you have the option to do a silk press.
Yeah.
You get your slick bun. Or you can even stretch your hair out with heat so that way your hair can basically look like stretched. So you have those options. So I think for me, I don't really know how to answer this question. I just feel like it's really important for you to be comfortable with your own hair and recognize that you cannot have it all. If you have relaxed hair, there's some hairstyles that you can do that are like easy for relaxed hair that will look really slick. For example, the ponytails that people do and maybe attach something to, like attach something to their hair.
And
It
then,
looks very slick. It looks very flat. If that's your thing, then go for it. Right. But for me, when I think about cornrows, I really don't care if your hair is relaxed or natural. It still looks nice. I feel like what's more important is
mm-hmm.
the person that's actually installing the hair, if they do it well or not. That's the determining factor. If you have a hairstylist that is very good with braiding natural hair or cornrolling natural hair, you have a wonderful experience. So in reality, I think it just I think that question, man, it's hard to answer because ultimately it depends on what you're prioritizing in terms of type of hairstyles you want. You can't have everything. What do you want to do? Do you want to be relaxed? Do you want to be natural? And whichever option, just know that there are some caveats in terms of what you can do with your hair. Simple.
Hmm. So true. So true. You can have every options actually. I think the reason why maybe I never really cared was I don't know. I think I just love my natural hair and I just do anything that would make my natural hair okay. So you can have everything. You can have every option. And I think one thing I want my team member to note down is that with natural hair, not with natural hair, it's more versatile, unlike the relaxed hair. Yeah, I think it's something she needs to know. So one more question to go, and this particular question is quite interesting, honestly. Yeah, she said most girls with relaxed hair go straighten out their hair when it's due, and when they do so, it gets long, or yeah, it gets longer. But then being a natural hair girl, it means you have to deal with having to stretch out your hair to prove that it's long. And it's an experience she has gone through previously when she had a natural hair on. So it's like, I see my friends, they just came back from the salon, their hair is all stretched out because they've relaxed it. It's dude and it's longer now. And they're just flexing their long hair. I mean, I'm like having to stick out my hair to say, No, my hair is very long, like longer than yours. Like you guys hair, you can't compete. And having to drag it down my chin because we do that a lot, you know. Look at my hair, it's long. Oh, this hair is not short. Ah, my hair is growing, and you're just sticking it out like that. So now she's asking, how do you deal with situations like that?
Mm.
This is an interesting question.
Mm. Um, so when I think about this question, I feel like it has more to do with something deeper than just hair. I think this more has to do with just being comfortable with what you have. Um, Maybe for me, I'm older. And the way I see hair is not the way I used to see it when I was younger. Yes, when I was younger, I needed to flex and let people know that, oh, my hair is long. This, I don't really have a response to this question. I just, as I said before, you just have to be comfortable with your hair. Part of where this is coming from, the need to try to find a solution to this, which I don't think is even a serious problem or a problem. I don't think even qualifies to be called a problem, right?
Yeah.
Is people feel like they need to conform to beauty standards that
Yeah.
would cause you to basically deny yourself of who you are. The reality is your natural hair is really who you are. That's how you are made naturally, right? And the idea of trying to prove a point that your hair is long, having to be in a straightened state is an easy way to show it. Just shows how we have been influenced by not just being comfortable with who we are, who we truly are. So
Yeah.
I can't give a solution because I feel this is not a problem, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, also when I saw this question, I just felt like this was something about lack of contentment and satisfaction. Because when you said also you see it differently, I kind of understood. Right now I'm looking for products that care about my hair, my wellness. I don't want to just put anything inside. So I don't care. I'm even pitying you if you're like putting these chemicals on here. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you. I'm
Hold on,
sorry for you.
hold on. So I think we really need to be careful not to make our sisters with natural hair feel bad. And I think this is the thing I've had to learn for certain people. They don't relax their hair because they hate their natural hair. They relax their hair because of convenience. They love
Yeah.
natural hair. Like they feel it's absolutely beautiful. I've had guests on this show. I even have like my close family members. They have relaxed hair, but they love natural hair. For certain
Mm.
people, the reason why they decide to keep their hair relaxed is because it's more convenient. And guess what? They take measures. They use products with ingredients that are safer, that wouldn't necessarily jeopardize their health, right? Compared to like your
Yeah.
conventional relaxers, they also, if they do their hair themselves, like relax their hair,
Yeah.
they read the instructions and use relaxers correctly. Or
Mm.
they go and see a hairstylist who knows how to relax hair and relaxes their hair. They don't expose themselves to chemicals, right? Like relaxers frequently. So I know some people that relax their hair only 4 times a year because they're like, they just want it straightened. They don't care that it has to be straightened every time. They just want it to be straightened. So it's easier for them to manipulate their hair. So I feel we can't be judgmental in that regard. And even people
Yeah.
are still not yet comfortable with their hair, I think it's important for us not to make them feel like they don't love themselves. The, the media is very powerful. Media
Actually.
is very, very powerful. And, some people are fortunate that they have friends, they have family, they grow up in environments whereby they're encouraged to just embrace who they are. If you have that, you're very lucky. Some of us struggle with it. I know I struggled with it. And that was why I used to relax my hair. I was relaxing my hair like every 3 weeks. Imagine.
Wow.
Yes. But I think it's so important to talk about this. I can get where she's coming from because it takes time. It took me, I would say like a decade to switch away from that mindset of being comfortable with my own hair type. It took me about a decade. So it takes time. And I feel like we need to extend people grace, especially if they're really struggling to just embrace their natural hair.
I think that just shifted my mindset. Yeah, that just shifted my mindset. And that's true. The part I said we need to give people grace to embrace their natural hair. That's true. Thank you so much for that. And I think this is the last question. Yeah, that's the last question.
You said that one was the
So,
last. Now, this one is the last, Abby. Like, it's last
I said
for
one
real.
more to go. Yeah, I said one more to go.
Okay, no, yawa.
Okay, this is the last. So, I noticed that most of the questions she asked showed our mindset and a perspective on keeping natural hair. Now, what mindsets will you advise someone thinking of trying natural hair from relaxed hair to take on as they start their natural hair journey? What mindset should they keep in mind that would help their hair journey progressive and a beautiful one?
Man, it's like a lot of things that we're talking about is mindsets. You know, it's funny because the questions that we got today had to do with, you know, you're trying to go from relaxed to natural hair. But you're right. A lot of what we have to consider is mindset. So I think for me, if I go back to when I was considering switching from my relaxed to natural hair, when I was transitioning, these are some of the things that I would tell myself. Transitioning to natural hair can feel difficult, no doubt. And when it comes to changing or reverting back to yourself, your true hair texture, it honestly has to do more with learning to change how you care for your hair than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Another crucial thing is recognizing, for me, I'll tell myself, man, be patient with the change. And another crucial, important point, whether or not you are considering going natural or you're already natural, is please get to know your hair. I feel like when it comes to trying to deal with our hair, when it comes to trying to care for our hair, it just feels very like distant. It's like, it's this thing that I just have to try to figure out, get done fast, versus, okay, this is my hair. This is what happens when I apply this. This is what happens when I sit in the shower longer to do this. This is what happens when I apply a product and my hair is very damp. Like, you're actually feeling and understanding what's happening. I feel like getting to know your hair can save you a lot of stress, especially if you're looking to transition. And one thing that I would say for someone who is trying to switch or transition to natural hair, and I wish, I did this. And I wish, I had someone tell me this, so I emphasize the importance of this, was the need to get comfortable with seeing myself in the mirror with my natural hair and accepting that that is actually beautiful. I didn't start doing that until years after I went natural. And then when I would do it, I would have my hair even stretched, like, twisted. So that was easy for me to manage.
Yeah.
It was recently that I would actually just leave my hair, let it just coil up, look very shrunken, and be like, girl, you look cute. You look very cute with this hair. I feel we've been subjected to seeing what beauty looks like. So it takes time. And I have to give credit to who actually brought up this point. It was this lady on Instagram. I don't remember her name. And man, I wish I knew her name. It would be good to shout out her name here. I think her name is Paige. I don't remember her last name. But she was just saying that it took her a while to just learn how to love our hair, because just looking at her hair in a shrunken state felt like, ugh, what is this? But gradually she started recognizing, actually, no, that's beautiful. That's natural. She had to train her mind to recognize the beauty in who she is and start unlearning what society has told us beauty should look like, which is straight hair, right? So I feel that's what I would advise myself and anyone thinking about going natural, especially if they're considering transitioning or even a big chop self, right? Either one. When they're trying to go through that journey, that's what I recommend. And we've talked a lot. Before we round up the show, Gift, do you want to say anything? Do you want to give any helpful hair gems or nuggets for our listeners that are considering transitioning to their natural hair?
Honestly, I kind of don't know how that road works. I don't know how that road works, but I think there's one thing I would say: is just be patient with your hair.
Yeah.
Actually, oh yes, funny enough, this is just like a very slight tea, but one of my friends was like, "Hi, Gift." I met her during the weekend, and she was just excited, telling me about how her hair had fully like transitioned to natural hair, and she was like so happy. So like, just give yourself patience, and I mean, if you want the natural hair way and you're willing to take on the journey, I think patience will do the stuff. Yeah. And obviously, research so much about many things that your hair will love. It would save you so much. Ignorance is not something you want to do. Like, it's not something you want to wear transitioning. Do research, find out what you can do about your hair. And if you don't have time for like all of that, I think you should just settle with a good and trustable hair routine. Just keep it on. And yeah,
that's
you'll come out
such a
strong and wavy and coily. And so
that's
yeah, I think that's all from my end. Thank you.
That's such an important point, man. Research, make things simple. And yeah, I feel like those are the key points when it comes to taking on that journey of embracing your natural hair. So it's okay to take your time. It's okay to relearn. It's okay to start small. Just don't let fear make you forget how beautiful your real hair texture is. Thank you for joining us on Unraveling the Knots. If you loved today's episode, please share with a friend who needs a little push to start her natural hair journey. Don't forget to share your own hair reflections with us at utkinhair@gmail.com, or even send us a DM on IG at UTK Podcast. One more thing. We will definitely appreciate your rating on our podcast. I'm your host, Ganiat, and I'll catch you on the next episode.